Here we go. Hi everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about why I decided to become a Pilates instructor. I'm halfway through the 500-hour Pilates certification program, and I wanted to tell you why I love it and why I feel that Pilates is great for people that are trying to rehab after a sports injury. For me personally, I spent my whole life playing softball. So every weekend I was out there playing, and I played all the way through college. I also played a lot of volleyball, and I still play volleyball today. And all of the sports and that repetitive exercise really put a lot of stress on my shoulder joints. And I started to get a lot of nerve pain through my arms and down my hand and into my wrist. And it was all a little bit too painful for me to handle. And after having kids, I really wanted to get into an exercise that I could do comfortably without having that repeated pain. I tried exercises through a couple of different gyms, and they would try to focus on burning out that same muscle, and it became really painful. And with Pilates, I found that it's not about that burning of a muscle or burning it out. It's about increasing flexibility and making your body feel better overall. And about 6 months ago, I signed up to be a Pilates instructor. And at that time, I was still having a lot of shoulder pain. So I would go and I'd play volleyball games, and I would see all of the women and men in my same position in our 40s to 50s, and all like rubbing that shoulder every time we would serve a ball or hit a ball. And I thought there had to be a better way. So I started doing Pilates classes. At first I was doing them maybe 1 or 2 times a week, and I noticed a benefit. It wasn't a huge benefit, but it was enough to keep me feeling lean and keep the endorphins going and have me feeling good about myself, but it wasn't really helping my shoulder all that much. But I decided to be an instructor, and I kicked that up to 3 to 4 times a week, and that small difference of a couple more classes made a huge difference. After a few weeks of that, I would have just a little bit of pain. So at first, when I was playing volleyball, I would go to serve a ball or hit a ball, and I would hope that if I was serving, the team would make an error so that I didn't have to serve again. Or I was thinking maybe I have to just serve underhand. There was no chance that I thought I wouldn't play volleyball any longer because I love it so much. But now I'm at a point where there's maybe 10% pain in my initial warm-up, and my friends are still holding their shoulders and holding their arms and wincing when it's time to do certain things. And my goal is to help people that love to play sports but just have that like acute long-term 3 months, 5 years, 10 years injury that's holding them back, and get them back to doing things that they love and doing things that make them feel good. What you'll experience and why Pilates helps when you go to a Pilates classes can be taught at all levels. So there's modifications. You'll walk into a class, and if you have an injury, first I recommend doing like a private lesson first and figuring out what your limitations are, figuring out what your range of motion is, and do you need a modification for certain movements, or do you need a prop to use to help you get into the perfect alignment for your body? And there's certain moves for me that I couldn't do with my shoulder, and I found what those were through private lessons, and then I started doing group classes, and I was knowledgeable enough to tell my body what I needed to do and do the moves the way that they're meant to be. I also mentioned that quick recovery. So Pilates, we're trying to get you back into your next workout in 2 days or 1 day. We don't want you sore for 3 to 4 days where you've done bicep curls and now your biceps are so sore you can't even straighten them out. But our whole point of Pilates is flexibility. So we want that full range of motion, that you can do a full extension and still have that movement a few days after a workout. Joseph Pilates made a few quotes that I love, and he was the creator of Pilates, obviously. He said that if your spine is inflexible and stiff at the age of 30, you're old. If your spine is flexible and you have motion and range of motion at 60, you're young. And I kind of love that philosophy. After our second child, my husband had a herniated disc, and he couldn't move. And at the time, he was 35 years old. And so seeing him not be able to have that ability, or like inchworming around the house because he was in so much pain, made me realize how important the health of your spine is, and doing workouts that are in your perfect spine alignment, focusing on like lengthening and flexibility and quick recovery really makes a difference for your overall health and really makes you feel good. Joseph Pilates also said that people from the age of 20 to 70 can do Pilates, and even over 70. It doesn't really have an age limitation, but knowing that you can have a workout that you're starting today, or maybe that you've been doing for a little while and you're going to kick it up a little bit, that you could do for a lifetime, for me that was so important. It's not something I'll do for the next few years, it's something that I can do throughout my life. He says that if you do 3 to 4 sessions, and I have to glance at my notes to make the quote correct, but in 10 sessions you'll feel different. In 20 sessions you'll see a difference, and in 30 sessions you'll be different. And that's doing a workout 3 to 4 times a week. So I would like to invite you to come on into the studio. And of course, if you have injuries, get your doctor's permission, ask your doctor what movements you should avoid and what movements would be best for your rehabilitation. Physical therapists are really including Pilates into rehab these days because they see that greatness when you're working your body in balance and you're strengthening your spine and getting into that perfect alignment. You're using your body the way that it was intended to use and not hunching over a keyboard and trying to type and strengthening or shortening your muscles and your shoulders and hunching over, but you're sitting up tall and confident and proud, and you feel good in your body. You won't be alone in a group class in your journey to heal. No body is perfect. Everyone has some kind of challenge or some kind of injury that they're working on. So I want you to feel confident going in, even if you have an injury or not your perfect body type that you want today. You should still feel good knowing that when you go to these classes, you'll feel better and you'll create a relationship with people in your classes that are going through the same things as you. It's also low impact. When one of my friends first talked to me about why I want to do Pilates or why it was a good idea, we talked about the fact that like you're running around, you're putting pressure on your joints, but Pilates, you're just laying down on a reformer and being cozy. Like, who can't do a workout while you get to lay down and relax? After some classes, you realize that you're not really comfortably laying down. You're keeping everything engaged and your muscles active. But in the beginning, you get to just lay down. You're not on the floor. You're a few inches up, which really helps people. One thing that I love is the Pilates breath. So a lot of the times people take those short breaths all day long. Obviously, breath is something necessary to survive. And we take these little teeny tiny short breaths and we keep shortening our muscles. But when we take long, deep breaths, we're lengthening our muscles out. And something as simple as a breath that's necessary to live, how you breathe makes a huge difference in how much circulation you have, how much new blood cells you're creating. It's such a big impact for your overall health. For me, when I go into a Pilates class, my brain has one thing it can focus on. It can't focus on my kids or work stress or how dirty my house is. It can only focus on how to properly do the movements to make my body the strongest it can be, and also lengthening and giving me flexibility. And in thinking about breathing, it just puts me into a very comfortable meditative space that I really enjoy. And I didn't expect that from Pilates. I thought I was going for a workout, but it turns out I was going more for a new meditation and a new way of life.